The NHL playoff matchups are all set. For the first time since 2012, the Rangers and Devils are going to face off in the postseason. So we're bringing back Jonny Lazarus. He's the Rangers beat writer for the Hockey News, and he's a UMass guy. And he's going to break down the Battle of the Hudson from the New York side of things. Jonny, thanks for joining us. Thanks for hopping on. Before we even talk about the actual series, let's talk about momentum. The Rangers won 5 of the last 10 to finish the season. As you know, you want to be playing your best hockey going into playoff time. So where is this team momentum-wise heading into the playoffs?
Hey, Brandon, good to be here again. And I know you just said the Rangers won 5 out of their last 10, which is not ideal going into the playoffs, but the good thing and the positive to take away is that Igor Shesterkin in those games went 4-1-1 in his last 6 starts. He's got a great goals against average right now at 1.82 and a .939 save percentage. So Igor is the most important player for this Rangers team going through the playoffs. You obviously need your goalie to be at his best come playoff time. So as far as the team goes, I'm not too concerned because I thought they have done some really good things. The power plays looked a little bit better. It's clicking much better than it was a month ago. The Rangers did finish the season with the 7th best power play percentage in the NHL at 24.1%. They're scoring goals. They're keeping pucks out of the net. I know the wins aren't necessarily there, but to that same point, they weren't really playing for much. They knew their destiny was set in that 3rd seed in the Metropolitan Division. So I think they'll be able to ramp it up once the playoffs do start.
All right, let's close the door on the regular season. It's playoff time now, so the first 2 games of the series are at the Rock. The Rangers are 24-9-8 on the road this season. That's 9th best in the NHL. So break down what they have to do to steal a game or 2 at the Prudential Center.
Well, similar theme. It's going to be Igor Shesterkin. He's got to stand on his head because this Devils team is very talented offensively. Jack Hughes, Jesper Bratt, Timo Meier, even on the back end, you got Dougie Hamilton. This team can flat out play offense. And for the Rangers, you got to be physical against these small, shifty forwards. Jack Hughes and Jesper Bratt do not like to get hit. I mean, let's face it, not many NHL players do like to get hit. But Trouba, Lindgren, those physical guys in the back end need to establish their dominance early on because once Jack Hughes and Jesper Bratt know they're going to get hit whenever they touch the puck, they're going to be a little bit more hesitant to make some plays. So I think that's the biggest thing for the Rangers early on is throwing the body, establishing their physicality because the Rangers aren't necessarily a physical team, but you have to play physical to slow down a very fast team like the Devils. So that's the key to the Rangers games 1 and game 2 on the road in New Jersey, although it probably won't be much of a road game because the Ranger fans do travel well across the Hudson to the Prudential Center. So I think it's going to be like a 50-50 split as far as fans go, but man, that energy is going to be top notch as far as playoff atmospheres go.
I'm glad you mentioned some of the stars for the Devils because that brings me right into the next question. This goes into experience. 4 of the Devils' top 5 point scorers this season have not played in more than 5 career playoff games in their careers. So do you think last year's playoff run for the Rangers give them the edge?
Honestly, I see a lot of similarities in the scenario, not necessarily the style of play between both teams. Last year, the Rangers did have a decent core. It was Zibanejad, Kreider, some of those guys that have been around the league for a long time. But a lot of the Rangers last year hadn't really played in many playoff games. You look at Adam Fox, Igor Shesterkin, they got some games in the bubble back in 2020, but they had never really played in a full-on NHL playoff series. So, a lot of the Devil stars are similar to the Rangers from last year. Kakko, Lafreniere, Hedl, a similar situation. The kid line had never played in the playoffs. So I do think there is something to say about the Devils not having much pressure on them. Right now, the pressure is all on the Rangers because they're cup or bust with this roster, with Patrick Kane, Tarasenko, and all the talent they have. But for the Devils, they're not necessarily happy to be there, but the expectation isn't to win the Stanley Cup. It's to maybe win a playoff round or win a series and just see what they're made of with this group because the Devils have been building for the last decade and they finally are in a spot where they have a lot of talent and they have a team where the window is now just opening. So I do think, the Devils have an advantage in that sense where the pressure isn't really on them.
I heard cup or bust. I heard pressure. Last but not least, how do you see this series playing out?
Oh, man, I've gone back and forth with this all day. I do think the Rangers close it out in 6 games, but I do think the Devils come out and win game 1. The Rangers right now, they still have some line shuffling to do, although they have had it somewhat set the last couple of games. That first line with Tarasenko, Kreider, and Zibanejad, the second line of Panarin, Trocheck, and Kane. Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry, I'm wrong. It was Kane, Zibanejad, Kreider, and Trocheck, Panarin, Tarasenko. That line's been really good, that second line, but Gerard Gallant always does shuffle the lines, so I won't be surprised if he does that early on in the series just to see how things play out. The Devils have been super good at home all year long. I think the Devils will come out with the jump, with the speed. The Rangers are going to have to weather that storm. But as the series goes on, I think the Rangers will be able to adjust and find their game. So the Devils might come out early and look good, but I think the Rangers close it out in 6.
All right, well, game 1 doesn't start until Tuesday, so we still got a lot of time, but New York is going to be on fire with both these teams in the playoffs. Jonny, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Brandon. Appreciate it.